It's cool.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Anthony Trapney. I'm from a band Odious Mortem and Severed Savior, and I put together a podcast with my friends Joseph, Kay, and Casey Howard. This is the Cali Death Podcast, episode number 1. Of course, with California death metal as the main focus of this podcast, who better to bring on for our first episode the pioneers of California death metal, Deeds of Flesh. We got Mike Hamilton and we got Jacoby Kingston. What's going on, dudes?
How's it going, fellas?
What's doing the damn thing. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. And
Yeah.
We're honored, man.
as we all know, like we're all part of the California scene, and California has its own signature style of death metal. So, or extreme metal, let's just say that, because we're all in bands that have been pushing the boundaries, and we're just part of that big circle as well. So it's an honor to be a part of it, and we're glad that we've been able to have a career this long doing it. So
yeah, dude, definitely. And I mean, it's like the staple that band specifically has done for the scene too. I mean, we got the Scourge going back really early too, but it's like for me, like my one band that I was like, oh yeah, this represents California death metal. It was Deeds of Flesh, dude. Coming across, Trading Pieces, Path of the Weakening, gradually melted all of that for those first 3. And then, coming across Vile later on and realizing that you were the drummer on the later albums, I was like, okay. So, and then you see the style totally just, it's like nitrous hit and it just took off,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, for me personally, my first introduction to Deeds was we played a show with them that our mutual friend Steve Miller set up when I was in Vile, and he had an Extremities magazine going on, and he was good friends with Jacoby and Erik, and set it up in San Francisco. I think like the Transmission Theater, something like that. And I just remember watching these guys, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, what are they even doing? It's like, just mind blowing. It's the tempos and the crazy ass time changes, and Vile is more kind of Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel Worship, where it's like groovy, and I was just like, that shit is fucking insane. And so that was my first impression, was like, whatever they're doing, I don't understand what they're doing right now, but I fucking like it and I want to be a part of it. So it was killer.
That's funny. The first time I saw Mike, I don't know if it was at the Transmission Theater. I thought it was that show we played in the Valley in that weird place in Tulare, because I remember seeing Mike play, and I was like, damn, dude, that guy's got sick stuff.
Actually, that might be the first show.
Yeah,
you're right. The Tulare Death Fest out there.
Because I remember meeting you there for the first time and going, dude, you're sick, and you were like, yeah, you guys are sick too. And we were
so
all
how old are you guys at this time?
This is like 97, I want to say.
Yeah, maybe 96, 97.
96.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I was
me too, yeah.
in 1st grade.
I was like 25 or something.
Yeah. I think we were like early 20s, but yeah, it was us. It was Infamy. It was, I think Exhumed played Deeds of Flesh, and I forget the name of the band that set it all up.
There was a band from like Tulare or
from
something,
that area that set the whole festival up. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was out in the middle
Crazy
of nowhere.
That you would move on to be in 2 of those bands on that bill.
Yeah.
I
know, it's crazy. It's cool, It's one of those Bay Area, I'm pretty loyal to Bay Area, so it's like I've been offered bands, and obviously when you're in a band, always everybody wants to just steal you from their band, but I've been pretty loyal to the bands that I'm in. I'm not one of those drummers for hire. I don't really do a lot. I just stick with one band, stay with that band until move on.
Totally, dude. So since we're talking about when you guys met, I mean that's a little further in the story. So I kind of wanted to get to both your guys' beginnings in music and what pushed you towards metal. Who was the person who got you into metal? Like all that kind of stuff. I want to hear all that.
All right. Well, go ahead, Jacoby.
All right, I'll go first. I was like 14 and we were listening to Bay Area thrash metal, and that's what we wanted to do. Me and my buddies, we wanted to start a band doing thrash metal. So, like 4 of us got together, we wrote a few riffs. None of us knew any music. None of us knew any notes or anything like that. We just one friend grabbed a guitar, the other friend played some drums, and I grabbed the easiest thing I could find, which was the bass, because I was just lazy. And we started writing tunes, and we were just kids, and we started a garage band. And it was, we played a ton of shows, but they were just, like parties and stuff, and it was fun. And we were almost leaning towards death metal, but it was thrashy death metal, really. It wasn't even really death metal, but we had a few blast beats in it, because just, I don't know. And then one day, this guy, Greg Gard, he's like this infamous drummer from where I live. He was always a super death metal guy. He gave me Obituary's Slowly We Rot. And that's when my mind just kind of turned. I was like, dude, that's some sick stuff right there. That's what I want to do right there. And ever since I heard that album, my musical taste kind of darkened, and I kind of looked at that first band as kind of, more of a, well, this is fun, but it's not really what I want to do. And then I met Erik because he was in another band called Charlie Christ, and they weren't really death metal either. They were kind of thrashy as well. They were more like Creator, I would say. And then he and I just started hanging out and listening to stuff, showing each other stuff. He would show me Gorguts, and then I showed up with like Suffocation or something, and we would just be like geeking out on these old bands that were just super sick at the time. And we were just sitting around going, dude, this is what I want to play. And he looks at me one day, he's like, well, dude, you got a fast drummer, let's get him over and let's jam. I'm like, yeah, totally, let's do that. And so we got, brought all our stuff together, got in his garage, and wrote 3-minute Crawl Space in one session. It was crazy. And right then we knew it was like, okay, we got to do this. We got to quit what we're doing on the, we can't make this a side project. We got to go all in. And that's kind of how it happened.
Sweet, dude.
Awesome.
One song and the first rehearsal. And it was like, I think we jammed for like 4 hours straight, and it felt like an hour, you know what I mean? So it felt immediately right. And then after that, it was like, all right, cool. And at the time, I was just a bass player. I'd never done any vocals or anything. And Erik's like, all right, well, you're going to do vocals and I'm going to do vocals. And I'm like, what? I don't do that. And he's like, dude, it's easy. Just play a riff and growl. I'm like, well, yeah, I could probably do that. And so I had to like learn how to do vocals and play at the same time. And he already knew. He was like super honed at it. So a lot of that earlier stuff, he did more vocals than I did just because he was better at it. He was more used to playing and singing. It took me a few albums to actually get that down pretty well. But, I would say past inbreeding, I was pretty well versed at it, and it was super easy for me after that, but it took some time to get there. But yeah, so that's kind of how we started. We wrote the 4 songs, Gradually Melted. I think there was actually 6 songs, but we ended up tossing 2 of them out and just recorded the 4 songs because the label that was kind of interested in us, Wild Rags down in East LA, they were telling us, no, just 4 songs. That's all we want. And so we went into this place called Ed Sandor's studio and recorded the 4 songs, one take all the way through. There was no splicing back then. And yeah, it came out on Wild Rags as a cassette tape, and just kind of, we were doing the whole snail mail thing with Internal Bleeding and all those Dying Fetus and all the guys that were around at that time doing the snail mail thing. And we just started getting our name out through the snail mail channels and started playing shows down in LA, and it just grew from there. I remember playing our first show with Disgorge, and I was outside of the Showcase Theater just sitting out there smoking a cigarette or something. And I heard them come on. I was like, holy crap, what is that? And I just turned around. I just saw Maddie's, Whirlwind going. I was like, dang, dude, those guys are sick. And I immediately went in and watched their whole set. And at the end, I was like, ran right up to Maddie. I was like, dude, here's our demo tape, and he's like, oh, dude, I know who you guys are. You guys are sick. And like, it was like instant friendship after that. And, I'd even go down to San Diego and hang out with them dudes and stuff. It was pretty cool, but it's just weird. It's almost like a brotherhood, when you get into this. It's like death metal dudes are the coolest dudes I know because they get all their aggression out in the music.
That's why we started this podcast in the first place, because of all the guys we've acquired throughout the years, in our scene. And it's just like, I feel a strong connection with so many of you guys years later, even if we don't even talk to each other. Like we all lived on the road for a month, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Early 2000s, you know, and it's just like we'd see
That's
each other
so
every
fun.
single day. We'd fucking hacky sack as soon as we got all of our responsibilities out of the way.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, so sorry, keep going on.
No, I think that's what I missed over the 13 years I was retired, was just the friendships I had. You know, I felt like I was missing something. I was like, man, I miss all those old buddies, you know? And so, I mean, I think the most exciting thing about me coming back into the fold is I just get to talk to my old friends again. It's cool, man. Like Bob Cock from Disavowed, you know, he texted me one day and I was like, whoa, man, Bob, how's it going, dude? And it was just, it's cool.
Totally. So now you guys got to the part where you guys met up and stuff. So what was the thing? Did you approach Deeds, Mike, or did Deeds approach you?
Well, the way that all went down, well, first we can go back to like my musical history was I grew up in the Bay Area. So being a teenager in the Bay Area when Exodus and Testament and, you know, all those Bay Area thrash bands were at their, you know, beginning of their career, those are the bands that I looked up to. So I started off like Jacoby started off playing thrash, you know, in high school, and then met some few friends in high school. We jammed, you know, just young kids just trying to hone our craft, get good at what we're, you know, at our instrument, and didn't really get into a serious band until probably 2 years after high school. It was a band called Mindlock that we set up, and it was kind of like copied off of Malevolent Creation meets Sepultura meets Sadist meets like Obituary. So it's kind of like a combination of that. And as we started venturing into more death metal bands, you know, we started, you know, getting a heavier sound ourselves. Kind of got to Mindlock. Yeah, okay. We basically borrowed it from a Malevolent Creation song off of Retribution. But
I love that album.
Yeah, as we started getting into more, you know, heavier stuff like, you know, Pestilence and Gore Guts and Morbid Angel, all the Florida death metal bands, were like, okay, that's the sound that we want to go for. And in our small town of Fairfield, we didn't have that. You know, we had like maybe 3 good players, and, you know, 4 or 5 good players, and 3 of them were in my band. So it's like, well, we either got to venture out and look in the Bay Area and try to find some of the guys that want to do this style, or, you know, just either call it quits. So at that time we had a mutual friend, Tilo. He does sound for Exodus and shit. He introduced me and Jimmy T to Colin and Juan from Vile. They had a band in the Bay Area called I think Entropy or something like that, and they couldn't find the right players for their band. We couldn't find the right players for our band, so we just got together, did a jam one day, and like Jacoby said, we jammed for like 4 hours. It just seemed like an hour. And we knew the chemistry was there. So we're like, well, let's just form a band. So that's how Vile formed. And then wrote a bunch of stuff with Vile. And, you know, around 97, I think it was, Deeds and Vile did like a little West Coast tour, ended up going over to Texas and played a festival in Texas with like Devourment and, you know, a couple other stick bands from the Texas area. And then that's when we kind of really like started recognizing each other. We heard of each other, didn't really like play shows together until like that. And we did the show in Tulare, did the show in San Francisco. We said, all right, let's go ahead and do a tour. So I think Erik and Jacoby booked that tour, but we ended up doing that short little run. And then at that time they had Brad in the band, and like Brad was kind of on a different page than Erik and Jacoby. And that's when Erik approached me like, hey man, you know, we'd like to ask you if you'd be interested in joining our band. And at the time I was just like, fuck man, I just started Vile, you know, we're kind of doing good. We got some momentum going. We only got like 2 demos. We're scheduled to record a record, and, you know, we got interest from Relapse. So I don't really know, you know, if I would do a tour with you, but I don't know about joining the band. So Erik was just like, well, you know, just think about it, you know? So I thought about it. And then a couple like months later, you know, I started seeing a trend, like Jimmy T went to Deeds. And so that was kind of a, you know, a bit of a hit. And I think that's when they actually approached me, because they asked Jimmy T to join the band. I think that's how it went, right, Jacoby?
Jimmy T had a knife to your side, and he's like, "You're gonna join the band,
oh yeah,
or I'm gonna cut you in half."
Yeah.
No, Jimmy T was like, "Dude, we got to get Hamilton in this band." He's like, "I can get him in the band." And me and Erik were like, "Hell yeah, go get him. You know, because we wanted you in the band, because we had been on the road with you, and we knew how you were on the road and your work ethic and everything, and we were just like, you know, yeah, we wanted you in the band bad, but we didn't want to steal you from Vile at the same time because we respected you guys immensely. So it was like, it was kind of a two-edged thing. And it was like, well, maybe he can just come down and, you know, kind of join the band, but still be in Vile. And I think it was you that said, well, I'm either going to do one or the other. I'm not going to just do both.
Yeah. Well, that was the point where like you did Path of the Weakening and Joey just, you know, did the album. He wasn't able to tour. And so you guys are pretty much left without a drummer. And it was always in the back of my mind, like, damn, you know, I could have this opportunity with Deez. I could learn a new style of drumming. You know, I could be back with Jimmy T in a band, and, you know, Jacoby and Erik are awesome dudes. But I didn't want to quit Vile. And then I started seeing like kind of the writing was on the wall with Vile, where one of the guitar players was married. He was going to move out of town. And then Juan didn't want to really tour anymore. He just wanted to do studio work because he just built a studio, and, you know, he wanted to just stay home and record bands. And I'm just like, well, shit, you know, now we're going to have to form the whole band. And, you know, I just felt like this band has potential, but like, I don't think it's going to go as far as I want it to go with the band. But I could see like the writing on the wall was like, if I join Deez, I can just learn the material, and we're just like on the road already. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It's going to be challenged as a drummer and work in a more established professional band with, you know, more of that mindset for, you know, work ethic and tour and write records. So, you know, went down and started learning the songs for basically all the songs on Path of the Weakening, and realized like, wow, this is killer. It's challenging, and it's totally just like new to me, new style of drumming. So it's like, you know, after a couple rehearsals, you know, we did like, I went down there for a weekend and we did like Saturday, Sunday rehearsals. And Sunday rehearsal, I'm just like, in my heart, I'm just like, I knew I was already committed. I was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in, I'm down, let's do this. I'm ready to go. And then, you know, went back to the Bay Area, and unfortunately had to tell the guys in Vile, like, hey man, I'm stepping down, you know, I'm gonna join Deez. And they weren't too happy about it, but, you know, sometimes you got to do the best thing for yourself. And for me, that was the best thing, because, you know, just get out of the Bay Area, just get myself, you know, in this mindset with 4, you know, individuals that want to do the same thing I want to do, and the work ethic's there. And so packed my shit, moved down there, and it's like never look back, you know. So awesome. You know, we first started jamming, you know, it was crazy. It's like we're, you know, these guys wanting to jam like 6-7 days a week, 4 hours a day. And that was like, I mean, we're in a little town, Los Osos. It's a surf town, you know. It's like there's a lot of stuff to do on the Central Coast, but it's not like LA or San Francisco where there's all the distractions. So we were able to stay focused.
The property that Erik was at during the bloodletting with Severed, Spawn, Gorgasm, and Pyemia?
Yeah, that was a property that belonged to a friend of ours at the time. His name was Johnny. But when we first moved down, we had a house on 5th Street, and we had the garage was our rehearsal room. So
was that the place that you moved to? Or were you living with Erik there?
Yep, moved in with Erik, and then at that time we just moved in with him, and it was just like, you know, rented the room out of the house, and we're just like, all right, cool. It's just like, it just felt more like a cohesive band. Everybody had the same mindset, you know, every day. You know, we were working for the betterment of the band and just writing music. And, you know, Erik is one of those guys, like, show up to practice, don't be calling in late, don't be, you know, it's like, he was I remember those times.
Slave driver.
Yeah. Well, he's just driven. The guy was just driven, you know?
Yeah,
so
vision, dude.
Well, I mean, honestly, I attest that to being, you know, that helped me, just getting on my kit every day and just having Erik and Jacoby push me, you know, just that's what helped me, you know, get the tempos and just hone my craft, you know.
Totally, dude.
Well, I gotta mention something. Before Mike came, we tried out Ricky. It didn't work out because of his timing was so different from ours, and he didn't gel. Our styles didn't gel. We tried out the guy from Cataclysm, the Indian dude. He's a gnarly drummer, badass drummer, but he was just, something was going on there. He got in trouble a few times. And I think his girlfriend ended up dragging him away. And then we tried out a bunch of guys, and it never felt right. And they were just trying to learn, you know, some of the path stuff, and it didn't feel right. And then Mike came down, and like immediately it was like, oh, he's got it. It's right in his wheelhouse, and the style is there. And it was so easy. And it took a lot of guys, going through a lot of guys to just know, like when Mike showed up, it was like, that's it. He's the guy. We gotta have Mike.
Feeling. It just felt locked, you know. It's like we're all on the same page. it was a, different style than Vile, of course. Like Vile's pretty 4/4 and pretty, they have predictable changes. When I got down, Jacoby's like, all right, you ready to get challenged? I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. But it was cool because it's like, it was a totally different style, and it took, a couple of weeks to like kind of really just get it down. But once I got it down, I was like, okay, I see the formula. I see what they're doing here. And it's just, that start, stop, style. It's just like pretty crazy. But once you get it, it's like, you get it. So
7 times here, 3 times there, 4 and 5 and 6,
yeah,
2 and 1.
Yeah. Well, Erik,
Joseph's version he has to deal with is 10, 11, 10, 14, 10, 11, 10 or something.
Yeah, a lot of those.
The scored shit.
Yeah, we had talk about
10,
that.
7, 9s, 11, 6s, 3s, every now and then an 8, just to like, just for the group part, but just only for like 2 bars and you're out.
Well, the second death metal show I ever went to, I was like 17, was at the Corona showcase with you guys, like Bloodletting 1.
Nice.
And so that was the path, and that was just sick. I was like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah, those were always good shows at the showcase.
Yeah. Right. And then we were playing with you guys years later. We were so honored. We were like, I remember when we found out we are going to play those first shows with you before the Bloodletting tour we did. We were just like so stoked. We like partied about it. We were like, oh my God, we're gonna play with Deeds.
That was actually a conversation
so
we had
stoked,
recently,
dude.
Casey. Like I never got confirmation. So we did the Bloodletting with you guys, but there was like 3 or 4 off dates that just Odious and Deeds did together. We did Knitting Factory.
Yeah, it worked out like that, and we were very happy.
And I don't know was that before or after that Bloodletting?
It was before Bloodletting.
It was before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was so cool. There was like Knitting Factory, and then what was the other one we did?
We played 2 different rooms at the Knitting Factory with Deeds. We got
it was like showcase, I think.
Front stage.
Yeah.
So fun.
Those venues are closed now, I think. None of those venues.
Yeah, they closed it down. I don't know what it is now, but
and the Knitting Factory, huh? Wow.
Yeah, it's been closed for a while.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So Dan Kenny asked already, you guys have answered it basically, but he asked, I always wanted to know how the switch from Vile to Deeds was musically and personally. So I think Mike already pretty much
it was just, it's just 2 different styles of death metal. Where Vile obviously is like the groove oriented kind of, Colin tend to kind of hang on a riff for,
it's just like you keep your head going this way.
Yeah. And the drums just kept changing. Whereas with Deeds, it's just like, well, it is, everything's changing all the time and just like keep you guessing. So it's good though. It was a good change.
I think I've had this experience where once you join a band, you kind of live with the music going in your head all the time. You're mentally rehearsing like 24/7. So every time you're doing something else, you're also like thinking through the music. Is that?
Yeah. I slept really well for 13 years, and now 5 months I can't freaking sleep at all.
Totally.
Also, Lily. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I was saying I was telling Jacoby, it's like, I haven't played this material for such a long time, and every now and then I'll listen to some of the older stuff or I'll watch a video, and it's like it's all there. I just remember every riff, every change, how to play it. It's just getting behind the kit and the muscle memory once you get that down. But it's like once learning those songs, they never leave your head.
It's still in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Just taking up fucking space.
Speaking of watching of old videos, I watched an old video of you guys. I don't know if it was really early. You guys were so young, dude. And it was in a small room. I don't know if it might've been a practice space, but it was like there was.
Yeah, that was in Arizona.
Okay. You're up on a riser. Jared's playing second guitar.
Yeah.
Erik and Jacoby is actually the closest to the camera. Dude, what a wicked set, dude. That was
So the story behind that is we had a tour that we had booked, and we're supposed to play a venue in Arizona. And we got to the venue, and like the old days, we just had a map and a phone. We'd go to a payphone and call the promoter, hey man, we're here, meet us at the venue. Couldn't get a hold of the guy. Guy just blew us off. Basically, I don't know if the show fell through. And one of the guys, I think it was Evil Dave, it was his rehearsal spot in Arizona. And he's like, well, I got a rehearsal spot. You guys come back and play my rehearsal spot. We'll just get everybody that was going to go to the show and just come over here and hang out at my rehearsal spot. So we said, fuck it, let's do it. So us, The Fall at Carnage, Mortal Decay, and Disgorge all played our set.
In that room?
In that room. It was badass. It was just packed, like, full of people and just drinking beers. And It was fun, man.
Dude, there was other bands down the hall going off too. It was like a full-on party.
Yeah.
With
Hell
you
yeah,
go to a
dude.
different room, you'd be in a different band. It was fun, dude. It was. I'm kind of glad the show got canceled because that memory's like burned.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one.
That's great.
Hell
Totally. Severed has a similar story. Before I was in the band, they were playing a festival in my hometown, Pacifica, and it was an outdoor thing, and the cops they shut it down before Severed even got close to playing. So we all went to South City to our rehearsal spot where Severed and Carnivorous were jamming, and it was I think we might have brought just a band that I don't know if any of you guys know. It's just a small grime band called Maggot Colony, and Carnivorous played that day too. But as soon as Carnivorous started setting up, everybody left the rehearsal studio. So we played for one guy, my tattoo artist, and then after that, he was like, "Dude, your vocals didn't sound very good." I'm like, dude, I'm just starting, dude. That was my first time I ever even played death metal in front of people was that day. And it was one guy who told me my shit sucks.
Well, hey, you know what that says? That says you got the backbone to get back off the ground. And
Yeah,
keep
dude.
going.
No, that's the kick in the pants that Mikey's talking about as well. It's like you get your kick in the pants one way or the other. Are you gonna act on it or not?
Yeah. Those character building shit, you could just go there and be like, oh, fuck it. There's only 20 people here. I'm not playing. It's like, there's 20 people here. You know what I mean? You're just going to discredit those people. Those are the people that showed up. So you play for the people that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play for the people that decided not to go to your show and sit at home.
Like, remember Rochester? It was like the date got wrong or something. Or I don't know what happened, but like there was we ended up playing and it was like a couple people there or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was so fun though. It was a great show.
Those are the shows
Cool
that
venue.
you're just like you plan just to stay warm and just to because that's your commitment. You stay committed to your word and like I'm playing the show. If there's 50 people here, if there's 300 people here, I'm still playing the show.
When you drove all the way out there, I mean,
it's
like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Are you talking? That was it Rochester that we had to try and chase down the promoter?
I don't remember. All I know is there was
and all that shit.
Every once in a while, those venue changes kind of pop up, and those are always fun. And so there was one of those, and something like
that was Saratoga Springs, dude. Rochester.
Oh yeah.
Rochester was like a little arcade or something that we were playing at.
Oh right, yeah. Well, they all blend together,
I know, dude.
But I was gonna,
dude,
I have a question.
Forgot, dude, I was gonna wear my tour pass. We were gonna wear
I got my
tour pass.
I got my tour pass right here, dude. I got it.
I totally left mine upstairs, dude.
I found this like all recently.
Grab it real quick.
That was the bloodletting. Yeah,
dude. I was so.
There's all the dates,
that,
whatever.
Dude.
That's fun.
Nice, sick.
I need that thing to remind me of all the dates because I can't remember them all.
I know. So many shows, dude. It's crazy.
I had a question for Jacoby and you guys, like about like the Gradually Melted like demo, or was that released as a demo, or was it like
demo? It was a cassette demo. That was originally how it was released, and it did so well that he decided to put it on CD because back then, I guess getting on CD was a big deal. So he decided to re-release it as a CD. And
I got a copy of that on CD. I don't have the tape.
I love that recording, dude.
I fucking love that shit.
Yeah,
I love
that was
music,
Ed
like,
Sandor. That was reel to reel. That was one take stuff.
Okay,
right there.
it sounds reel to reel. I had a feeling, dude.
No drum edits, no nothing.
I know.
That's what I love about it.
And what's up with that? He does on the kicks that like crazy little
the breathing.
What the hell?
That's
where he breathes, and that's just Joey.
Damn, that guy is so amazing. I've never seen him play, but I have so much respect for him.
If he, if he would have had his whole heart into death metal, he could have been something super special. But he wanted to fly helicopters, man. That was like his calling. Cool. So he took his ability to move all four limbs and flew with it instead of drummed with it. So
crazy.
But you know what? It's all the better because I mean, like Mike's like my best friend of all time. So I never probably would have been in a band with him had Joey stayed in. So I'm actually glad.
Dude.
I've always I've watched you play so many times and just been like, God, dude, like machine. You're like the tightest drummer I've like ever seen. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anyone else that.
I mean, there's a lot of great drummers.
You're just tight as can be, man.
Yeah, it's a testament to really just being locked in with the members in your band, and I think it's a testament to being, the old school way of practicing, rehearsing, where you just get a bunch of dudes in a room, and you just, once you form that brotherhood with those guys, the music just, you could tell in the music, it just gels even more. You know what I mean? Because you're working as a team, as opposed to like nowadays with, not saying anything bad about the way the scene is now, but just, you don't have that old school work ethic where everybody rehearses on their own now. They're, kind of just, living in different cities, and,
Right.
yeah, it's a testament to just locking yourself in a room and just fucking putting in the hours, you know what
6 days a week.
I remember the times like
6 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Dude.
Me and Jacoby would be in Avila. We're drinking a beer on the pier. It's like, all right, dude, are you going to call Erik or am I going to call Erik? It's like, we've already jammed 6 times this week, man. Do we really need another rehearsal?
Right. Yeah, exactly. We
don't
got
even
it.
have any shows coming up. We're just writing new material. It's like,
That's awesome.
That kind of plays towards what me and Casey have talked about many a times, dude, is that flow state when you're in the jam space with other humans that are in that same state with you, and it becomes like this whole thing, and then you're almost outside of it as it's happening in the moment, and everybody's looking at each other like, oh shit, we're in this right now,
Yeah.
And
one of the best feelings in the world, man, is when you write that signature riff for the first time and you're like, oh dude, that's sick, play it again, play it again, play it again, and you just get that feeling of just goosebumps, and that's like that's the funnest chasing, dude. One of the funnest things in life, man, for sure.
You get that one riff that just drives the ideas for an entire song. It's insane. It's fucking cool.
For sure.
And then with the deed style, the classic deed styles, you just never repeat it. Just write about 15 of those riffs, and then the song's done. It's 7 minutes long. All right, cool.
Shit. Yeah.
Endurance.
And we actually we never played it live, but we did rehearse that thing, and we got it down. Like, we used to play that in rehearsal. Just be like, okay, here we go. We're playing.
Here we go. Yep.
Here we go.
So did you guys originally have the idea to write a song of that length, or did it just eventually evolve?
It just kept building. Yeah. Erik was always about doing no repeater songs. I mean, Jacoby were like, dude, you got to have like some, repeat some parts to get people into the song. But Erik's
couple hooks.
Yeah, some hooks, but that wasn't the way we wrote, but Erik just kept building it. We all just kept building it. And next thing you know, it's like 11 minute plus, long. And we're just like, okay, I think that's probably pretty good. I think we could stop right there.
It was actually how did you guys question about that song?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
It was literally just how long did it take to create such a mania is how the question was phrased, but you pretty much just answered it. You're answering all these questions that fans had. They're just organically coming up. So
when you're in a jam room 6 days a week for a couple hours a day, I mean, you just it didn't take that long to write. You would think it takes long to write, but it took longer to practice and get it right. You know what I mean? Because we had the riffs pretty much written, but just getting it all into one big piece and playing it all together well, that was tough. But we did it. We got it there. We recorded it, and then we never played it again.
Well, we never recorded our rehearsals. Everything we've ever done, this is going to blow your mind, is all memory. We never wrote anything down. Erik didn't write tab for any of the songs. No. We just everything that we played was just solely memory, which is crazy. But
that comes when you don't know much about music, and you got to use your memory to memorize stuff.
We didn't write structured style music. I know, Casey, you're very versed in writing and reading music.
But that's like really amazing to I mean, whatever it takes to learn that music, but like that's some of the most technical, awesome, but like it's not just technical, like it's like, there's trading pieces, and then there's inbreeding, and like and then path, like the different forms of like kind of style and stuff. But like, and I grew up, I mean, in high school, we were like totally into that stuff before, me and David from Odie, like we were in the same grade, and in high school we were 17, 18, we were just like Dudes of Flush, and all these bands and stuff, and and like, of course Suffo, and like Legion, all that technical, we were like super into that. And the thing for me is that it's always been so well written. Like, it's not just technical, it's like so cool. It's like, dude, that's the craziest thing I've like ever heard. It's so good.
I remember back in the day, I'm trying to remember what album it was. Oh gosh, it was one of the earlier albums. This guy gave us a horrible review. He said, this is such crap. I don't understand what they're doing. And then near the end of the review, it says, "Oh, wait a minute. I've listened to this about 10 or 12 times now, and it's really good." And he totally from this is crap to this is insane.
That's
like,
awesome.
but it took him a while to get there. But I was pissed that he started off with it as crap, because that's as much as people read sometimes. And I was like, "What are you doing, man?" But it took them a while to digest it, because I think that's what our music kind of does. It's just, you got to kind of digest it at first, and then you start hearing little things here and there later on that kind of come back. And it's just, that's always how it's been. We've never been
real quick.
Yeah,
so I just want to chime in real quick. That's how the best art is for me, dude, is that you don't get it right off the first watch or listen, or even the first time you look at a painting or anything like that. The stuff that really resonates and has like a stamina through time with you personally is the stuff that takes time to saturate and marinate, and then you start to get it, and then it's almost like the music molds you to be able to accept it, like totally. You don't, like, your brain's not equipped to take it right in the first listen, but it took in some type of information to try and rewire some things so you're more ready for it on the next listen.
Well, it's like, I remember watching old Suffo, like old Suffo videos from like the early 90s, and he's like, Frank's like, "All this stuff goes over your heads," like no one got it, you know. And you're like, and the Deeds was like the next, there's other bands, but like, I mean, we were having a discussion the other day about like our favorite albums from the 90s and all the different stuff that influenced us, and Deeds was one of my top 3, because I was just like, dude, like in those days, like it was super, like
they were pushing the envelope. The band,
no one was doing it that way.
Style, they're pushing the envelope, and they're doing something unique that nobody else was doing.
Putting Cali on the map, dude.
That's before I was even in the band. I'm just like, I remember go back when we did the Vile and Deeds tour, and Deeds already had recorded Inbreeding, but they had it on a CD, and it was just a demo. I think it was Rough Tracks or something.
It was rough tracks.
Rough Tracks. And we were listening to it, and I remember the rest of the guys in Vile were just like, "Fucking turn this shit off. What is going on?" Colin's like, "What is, I don't fucking understand what's going on." And I'm sitting there listening to it, digesting it, going, "This shit is fucking next level." And like Inbreeding, to me, Inbreeding's like it's like 10 years ahead of its time, in my opinion, just because there's so much going on, and and just so many different time changes, and just aggressive as fuck and dark, and just pushing the boundaries like everywhere. Like, just when you think you know what the song's going to do, it's just, you don't. And that's what makes it interesting. And that's like Anthony's saying, the funny thing is we actually played that probably like back to back for like 4 hours.
Yeah, we did. Colin was so pissed.
He was just like, and I'm digesting and just calling. You can see he's on the verge of meltdown because he just didn't understand what was going on. It's like,
Colin on the verge of meltdown. What now?
Yeah. Well, just because he was losing his patience, because to him it's like, it wasn't Herbie Hancock, so he couldn't follow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to each his own. But I mean, that's just one. Like I said, it's one of those albums, like you're saying, you have to listen to it over and over to digest it. And it's like, and once you get it, the light bulb just like, holy shit, that's what they're doing. That's insane. Oh, that was written in '98.
Yeah, dude.
My one regret from all those early years is we were terrible at the recording. We were bad when it came to the studio, because we weren't with a producer that knew death metal. We were trying to produce it ourselves, and maybe the speakers or the room we were in wasn't right, but it would never come out right. That's why all those early albums, they all sound different, because we didn't know what we were doing. And I wish we'd had better guidance back
resources
then.
And guidance
and resources. Yeah.
Well, we're in a small town, where there's only a handful of studios, and all those, engineers that are in the, in San Luis Obispo area, they just do rock, they don't really know how to do death metal. And then now you're taking a form of extreme death metal like Deeds, where it's like, they had no idea. So that's where Erik and, Jacoby did their best to kind of guide the engineer. Like, this is the kind of sound we're going for, so
it was tough.
It's tough. It's hard,
I have a question about the kind of like the writing and Path of the Weakening, because it kind of like took this awesome turn, and it's like a really cool creative. It's such a great album. Like, was there any kind of like thought behind that? Or just all of a sudden Erik was like, or you guys were just starting to write like this is just progression?
It was a weird phenomenon because Joey basically said we didn't have a drummer, and Joey was like, I can give you guys like 2 months. He's like, that's all I got. And then I got to go back to helicopter training. I can do whatever I can do in 2 months. So we were just frantically writing for like a month and a half. And then we had to record for the last 2 weeks. So it was like, I think it was a whole lot of just late nights and just zoning out into this darkness of get it done, I can't believe we actually got that thing done and recorded in that amount of time, but we did. But
yeah,
I remember, yeah. And I remember like, I was working Diablo Canyon night shift or something. And I woke up, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was all groggy and I hear Erik and Joey in the back room jamming. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, get up, got to go practice. And I go back there and they're like, dude, check out this riff. And it was dun, 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 and I was like, oh damn. And I got like goosebumps right off the bat. I'm like, that's sick. And I just ran over and reached for my bass and I'm like watching Erik. I'm like, all right, dude. Oh yeah. And it's like we wrote Path that day and it was like, this is the song for the album. And it was like it just drove us, man. Just every next riff we wrote was sicker than the last. And it was so fun. It was one of those fun times where you're locked in and get it done. That's how it happens.
So speaking of that time in Jared, so how did you guys come across Jared? How did you guys come in contact with him? Deaver.
Jared Deaver. Oh, that's when Jacoby, actually when Jimmy T quit.
Okay.
We had the second.
He was in that. The reason why I'm thinking of him is because he was in that video that I brought up earlier.
Yeah, no,
talking about that same era.
He came down. He actually moved down to Los Osos. I mean, Jared, he's always been like, he's always been in a bunch of bands, and he really was a fan of Deeds, and I guess the connection was probably through me because I knew him in the Bay Area, and he was in Impaled and Cypheria and a bunch of bands and stuff. I think he actually tried out for Vile once. I don't know if it didn't work between him and Colin or whatever.
And he was with Severed for a while.
He was with Severed. Yeah, he was with Severed for a while.
Actually, when I met those guys, he was the current guitar player at that time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was tough for Jared because he had life to balance as well. He wanted to push his music career, but he also had his career and his son and stuff. So it was really hard for him to like commit. But he made the commitment to Deeds. It came down like right after Jimmy T quit, and he was with us for lived down there with us. Probably for like a year down there, moved in the house with me and Erik, did a few tours. And then, at that time, Deeds wasn't really making any money. We were making enough money to sustain our lifestyle, but not, Jared needed more money to sustain his lifestyle because he had a child and shit like that. So, he was with the band for about a year, but that was probably an invite from me because I was like, hey, we got Jared up in the Bay Area. Deeds got, Erik and Jacoby got used to having that second guitar player, just filled up the sound a lot more. So it felt natural to have a second guitar player. And then when Jimmy left, just his name popped up and he came down, tried out, and he got the material. He just wasn't able to stay with it because of his lifestyle, So
yeah, cool dudes.
Yeah.
There's a question for Jacoby from a fan. He says, please ask Jacoby anything about his playing or any gear he ever used. I'm just gonna read this. This is a good set of questions. His playing looks so laborious. How did he not injure himself? Or does his speed actually just come from solid technique and he likes a good performance? How did he get so good? Do him and Mike have a song they consider their hardest to record or play? So I'll leave it at that. But
all right, so
yeah, what's up with the
let me set the record straight. I'm not a very good bass player. I just, I can play a Deed song. You ask me to play something else and I probably wouldn't even know what to do. So, I mean, the fact that I could play the Deed songs was like due to a whole lot of practice. But I mean, playing wise, just, I never, well, yeah, I injured myself all the time. What am I talking about? But I had a tendency to play really hard on the strings. And that was just because I didn't have that good technique of playing softer like a guitar player would. And I had to use my whole arm, and it's just how it went. And it worked out. And yeah. So hardest song to play or record. I don't know. They were all hard, man. There was no easy
Best
songs
answer.
ever.
Yeah.
And you know, I never heard a song and I would drop my head except for the Endurance. When we were getting ready to play that at practice, I'd be like, oh, okay. All right, let me take a drink. All right, let's go. You know, you got to get yourself revved up for
take
that.
a break after that one, or
Yeah. Well, there's a few breaks in the song itself, but it's like it's for the drums and everything. But I think Erik just kept going. But yeah, there's a couple of small breaks in that song. But other than that, like we never played it live. But yeah.
I mean, we would always leave it for last. It would be the last song we would play because we knew after that we were like pretty much spent. And for all of us too, because we're all sitting there playing as hard as we can for 11 and a half minutes or whatever. And it's taxing, you know, but it was fun at the same time. So we never shied away from it. It was always just, all right, here we go. Buck up.
Yeah.
Put your man boots on. Time to go to war.
Right on.
So, all right. So now we're basically okay. So you get to a point, I think it was Crown of Souls. Then the style continued to start getting more and more technical.
Wait, can we do one early era question first?
Yeah,
just because
sure.
it's about the Milwaukee Metal Fest 2000.
Oh wow, yeah, crazy.
So someone says, Jacoby, on a scale from 1 to 10, how pissed were you when I hit you in the back with a steel chair at the Milwaukee Metal Fest? Is that a true story?
Who was that?
I guess somebody is claiming to have hit you in the back with a chair during Milwaukee Metal Fest.
You know, guys, so much stuff happened over the years, and half the time I was pretty drunk. So
I didn't
totally
vet these questions.
I totally believe that, and no, there's no hard feelings because you know, as of now, I can sort of remember that happening, but it's like it's kind of a blur. 98 was the worst one. 98 Milwaukee Metal Fest was the worst one. It was a miracle that I got up on stage on that show, and I had to apologize to Erik for a long time for that one, but we got through it.
We all have them.
Yep.
Yeah.
We all have them.
Except Mike Hamilton.
I don't ever drink on tour, you know, maybe after I play, but I never had 1 ounce of alcohol before I played. I'd have a shit ton of Red Bulls, but you know, just always played sober just to be focused and locked in.
Friends don't let friends drink and drum.
Same with Troy. He would wait until after the set too. He wanted to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're, you know, keep in mind we're young, we're super driven, you know, and it's at the point where like you really have to make a name for yourself in the scene because there's so many other bands doing it. You know, you want to play your best because, you know, back in the day between 98 and the early 2000s, if you couldn't play your shit live that you recorded, you would get criticized by all the other drummers. It was like, they're just standing, especially Ricky Myers would be the worst because he'd be on the stage, like this close to your fucking feet while you're doing double bass. I don't know, man. I mean, the whole set was sick, but you had that one little flub. So yeah, you know, so too many
popcorn.
Popcorn was the worst. If you got called out for doing popcorn, dude, it was just like you got shit. It's like being shamed.
Yeah,
might as well go to the center of the city and just get stoned. But
yeah, I feel like drinking and playing guitar is a different deal, but drinking and drumming is like a disaster. Death metal, it can't happen.
The alcohol goes right to your legs, man.
So sloppy, like it's horrible. Yeah, you
right to your legs.
You can't walk. You can't.
It's as soon as
it's like lactic acid buildup. It'll just cramp you up. Like
right.
Done.
Not gonna happen.
Well, it's just like your motor functions are just completely impaired, and so you don't have that mind body connection. And when you're playing this style of music, there's no room for error, especially like
sorry, go ahead, dude.
No, that's cool. Like Casey, like if you're off 1 or 2 notes, just you're done. Like you're chasing the rest of the song. It's fucking impossible. So
I remember Dan and Joel and other dudes, they would party and stuff before the set. And I just would like, you guys are lucky you're on strings, dude. Even, not that it's easy to play strings, but they can still get through it and still,
well,
you know what I mean?
Drummers are essentially athletes, man. And the better that you take care of your body and, the more prepared you are to be, a better performer at your craft, it's like, you got to take it serious,
Unless you're playing like Motley Crue stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But not in this genre. There's no forgiveness in this style, it's like everybody's now, the meters are being pushed so ridiculous and it's just getting so fast where people have to now double stroke just to keep up with the tempos, which is crazy. It's like, And I'm not.
Yeah. Did you learn how to do that?
I did it on What's to Come, and I did it on a few parts in Portal. It's just ridiculously fast, and so I learned that. And I actually learned. I think I learned it by watching Longstreth do it. So, but I never like got into it. I'm an old school guy. I started off with a single.
I know,
kick.
me too.
To answer the question about the single blast, it's just like anything else. It's like, a weightlifter. You just start off slow, start off with low weights and just work your way up. And over the years, it's just the stamina's there, the muscle memory's there. You develop, the technique to learn how to operate your equipment better and get a better feel for your pedal. And you just start refining little movements and just, to where it's like the technique is just so refined and honed. Like you don't have to use that much energy to get the same, effect as like when you were younger,
So it seems like a lot of like technology is being like channeled into like double bass drumming, especially in the last like 10, 20 years. But did you kind of like, you lived through that evolution? So like, what was it like? Do you just have like Pearl double bass pedals back in the day, and then you remember Axis coming out, or what was that?
I got my start with old school Gibraltars. I had a Gibraltar double bass pedal, and then from there, when I got my first kit with 2 bass drums, I had the DW turbos, which I think everybody was playing at the time. And then Axis came out with the A's, and I was like, ooh, I got to try these out. And then that was when I was still in viol, and I was able to actually play more comfortably for longer amounts of time because the pedal wasn't as heavy. So I've been with Axis like 25 years. So it wasn't until just recently I started playing the Demon drives, because with the Exhumed material, it's not as fast, obviously, as Deeds. So I can like lay back a little bit more and just dig into the drums a lot more. Whereas with Deeds, it was just like blistering tempos all the time. So I was basically using the Axis, pedals to my advantage by just keeping those tempos for long periods of time and not doing, too much work. Where I'm still controlling the pedal, but just
the sweat rolling off your head doesn't say too much work, dude.
Well, it's all work. I'm just saying. I mean, coming from a drummer standpoint, it's like if you're playing an old DW 5000, those things are heavy. They're good for certain styles of music, but once you start pushing tempos above like 180, 200, it's a little bit of work to push those things. So that's where Axis and all these direct drive pedals make.
They don't flow smooth the same like the direct drives do. Like the speed, like once you have chain drives or strap drives, it's like it starts to get like floppy at that speed.
And plus, I come from the old school where Lombardo and Gene Hoglan era, where you hit hard and you start off with everything's 1 foot and you just dig into your kit, you know. So. And I guess as tempos are just evolving, getting faster and faster, you have to refine the technique so it's not so crucial to your body. Because if you're playing these tempos nowadays, if you're trying to caveman drum with these tempos, you're going to blow your muscles out and you hurt your body. And so, I mean, it's the evolution of drumming. It's necessary to develop that refined technique so that you don't injure your body. Otherwise, if you're trying to play double bass, at like 260, 270 all the time, your knees and your hips are eventually going to fucking give out, or you're going to be in your 50s like me and fucking arthritis is kicking in. You're just like, gotta take a hot shower every morning. Just, I can feel I can move. No, I'm just joking.
I just had to, dude, don't
but
joke.
Those are the things that a drummer really needs to take into account. That you have to treat yourself like you're an athlete, and you have to do the right things for your body. Like all the, the stretching and all that stuff, super important, so.
Yeah. I remember that show we were going to do with you guys. It was like the first Decrepit show. It was like 2005 or something like that. Or the first one with me. It's going to be at Brick by Brick. And then you guys were going to headline, but you fell off a balcony or something.
Oh yeah.
What happened? That was crazy. Yeah, that was, we were stoked because we're like killer. It's Deeds and Decrepit Birth,
the Scourge,
it's like the dream show, man. 3 Ds from the West Coast playing in one venue is going to be sick. And me and Jacoby decided to go down to LA the night before and hang out with some friends. And we were hanging out on the balcony and we're just sipping on a beer. We weren't even drunk. We're just hanging out on the balcony. We're leaning on the handrail and handrail gave out and we all 3 fell, man. It's brutal. Crazy. Yeah, I broke my wrist. Jacoby broke his back. It was like, I was like, crazy. We fell like 20 feet and just hit they hit underneath the balcony. They hit like it was like a flower bed, but I launched out and I hit the actual concrete, but I put my hand out to break my fall and just shattered my wrist. And in that moment, I was like, fuck, we got a show tomorrow. And I just kept thinking, Eric's going to be so fucking pissed. I'm like, well, I can just duct tape my wrist and get through this. And then like put me in the fucking ambulance. I woke up in the hospital like hours later, just all on morphine. Like, where the fuck am I? What's going on? And just like, I just made my wrist hurt. And I was like, yeah, it's broke. And I was like, oh shit, we're done.
Isn't that the same thing when Derek broke his leg? Didn't he fall off a fucking balcony that broke or some shit too? Derek Boyer.
I remember that when
I don't know if he fell off a balcony, but I remember him breaking his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacoby was in a back brace, right? You were in a back brace for how long, dude?
Like 6 months.
6 months.
Fuck, how claustrophobic was that, dude?
Crazy.
It wasn't too bad because I could take it off and put it back on. I had to wear it when I stood up or when I went anywhere. But if I was just laying on the bed, I could take it off. But it wasn't as bad as you think. I mean, breaking your back, there's not a lot they can do for you. So it's just like, let it heal. Don't do anything crazy for a while. And just, I'm still a little bit crooked when I stand. It made me a little crooked to the side. So it's like weird when I look down at my body. I'm a little bit crooked and I can tell.
You got a little pirate limp when you walk?
No, I don't have a limp or anything. I'm just a little bit crooked when I stand. It's just weird. I don't think anybody else can notice it, but I notice it when I look down. It's just weird. It's like my chest and my stomach are a little bit crooked. It's just, and that's from breaking my back. It's just a trip, man. But
crazy.
That's
sucked. Like, why is my pecker 2 inches to the left all of a sudden? Yeah, that was pretty brutal, man, because we were looking forward to that show, and it just sucked to have to call Erik and be like, dude, we're in the hospital. He's like, what the hell happened? So
yeah, for sure.
Luckily none of us got super hurt, but it was one of those things where it could have been a lot worse than what it was. So we're pretty fortunate. But
could I bring up another crazy story?
Yeah.
Involving the Pound. Remember the Pound show, the infamous Pound show?
You mean the last show?
The last,
the very last Deeds show ever.
I remember.
Yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so, refresh my memory a little bit. Who was on the bill? Because it wasn't like a.
It was the last bloodletting, right? Was it?
Yeah.
No, we didn't play. Was it the last bloodletting?
Yeah, it was the last bloodletting.
We did play that night.
Yeah, so it was us, Vile.
I thought we were seeing Deeds on a separate show.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, everything was fine until you guys got on stage, right?
Yeah. Some chick jumped right in front of me and was like headbanging. And I've had that happen enough times to where I know she's eventually going to hit my mic and it's going to go into my teeth. So it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here just trying to like softly kick her off the stage, and just like get the hell off the stage. And I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the damn like stage security,
Yeah.
And then, she won't go anywhere. She's just standing right in front of my mic. So I had to violently basically kick her off the stage to get her out of my way so I could sing. And a few seconds later, I'm down headbanging, playing a part, and I just feel my hair get pulled like this. And then just boom, 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 just punches are coming through my hair. And some dude had a hold of me and was just knocking me out.
Yeah, it must be girl's boyfriend or something.
Probably something. And my whole bass broke because when he pulled my hair, it kind of dropped me to my knee, and my setup where my cord was just totally ripped out. And so it busted my bass, and I was like, shoot. So I ran backstage and I was grabbing another bass, and the guy's like, dude, you're bleeding, bro. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I pulled my lip and I got a big old hole. My tooth had gone all the way through my lip. And I was just like, okay, I guess we're going out bloody. And I think I grabbed a bass from, one of the guys in the other band, and just went back out and played the rest of the show with a bloody face.
Yeah, I don't think it ended well for that guy either, because we had all my Fairfield crew, Vacaville, Vallejo crew out there. And I think they ended up following that guy out to the parking lot, and he would think,
so
I don't remember, did the show get shut down? Did they
it got crazy, dude. It got real crazy because I guess somebody went back to the car and came back with a gun.
Yeah, that's right.
And they shut us all. They shut they barricaded us inside. And that's actually a memorable night for me, because that's like when I really know Murray Fitzpatrick was a real fucking brother, dude. Because I had my younger brother there, and Dan Kenny had his younger brother there for that show.
Yeah.
And as soon as like shit got real, Murray rounded those guys up and threw them
Oh,
in the
yeah.
corner. And yeah. And we were all just, but I was just like, dude, that's super cool for Murray to like immediately go for the young ones that were in the group that we came with, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, Murray just needs an excuse to fuck somebody up. He doesn't care. He's like, oh, okay, somebody wants to get down. All right, he's all
Dude, he'll take the
like,
smallest
let's go.
excuse to fuck me up, dude. I come at him drunk with my hand out one time.
Yeah.
Fucking a second later, it's up my back and I'm like in the wall, you know?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Murray, I haven't really talked with him, and I know that you know, he had a stroke or something. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Three strokes.
3 strokes. I don't know. Have you guys been in
I
contact?
spoke to him when I came back kind of in the fold. You know, I haven't been on social media or anything all these years, just pretty much on purpose because there's so much junk out there. And I came back online. He was one of the first dudes I saw, and I was like, "Hey, Murray, how's it going, bro?" And I was in the dark. I didn't know what had happened to him. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm living in Australia. I've had 3 strokes. I can't walk and I can't see." And I was just like, "Oh man!" And I felt so bad, and I was like, "I'm so sorry, bro. I didn't know," and blah blah blah. And he was just, you know, he's still got a good attitude. He's still Murray,
dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's telling me about his daughter and stuff, and I was just like, you know, it's cool, man.
Cali death, Cali,
for sure,
Cali. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into detail.
No, you don't have to.
But it's just, he went through some very, very unfortunate health problems, and he's
doing better.
Yeah, he's on the up. You know, it's just a really slow process with stuff like that, you know,
for sure.
And I know that he's out there for the best care that he you know, and he's got family out there too with him. So he's
we love him, man. We miss him, and we hope he's
very
doing
much,
good.
Dude.
Yep.
Most definitely, dude. And I know he's doing the best he can do right now, you know. So that's what this is all about, dude. Like we've gained so much love and respect for so many different people in this scene, you know. It's like once you really feel you establish yourself in a scene for so long and you acquire all these different relationships, like now we're getting nothing but older, and you go back in hindsight, you look at all the greatest things that happened during those times and all the people that were involved in it, and it's like I'll never forget it. I want everybody else to know about it, and that's why we're doing this, you know.
Yeah, well, we all are pretty lucky to live in a time where we were in the very beginning stages. You know, we consider ourselves like second generation death metal.
Yeah,
and to be doing it at a time when it's, you know, still kind of in its infancy, and to be able to contribute to it and do it the way we did it, we feel super honored and super blessed. And you know, like just like us, bands before us, we looked up to them. You know, because they were pioneers, like, you know, Suffocation and Gore Guts and bands like that, the first generation death metal. We're just trying to continue on that legacy. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing about this style of music is like everybody's in it for the style of music. They're not in it to make a bunch of money, although it's nice to pay bills, but our heart is in it because we genuinely love the style, you know. And so I think the way the music's going now, it's just going to continue to keep going, and I don't think death metal is ever going to go away. It's never going to die. It's just going to continue to evolve, and that's the beautiful thing about it.
Totally, dude. So now let's what, Joseph, you got anything else lined up question wise or anything?
No, I think we should move forward to the band's history, and then but by the end we need to touch on the new album and definitely let you guys talk about that. But let's cover like you said, Crown and of what's to come and Portal stuff. So
and Reduced. Well, we can't completely stuff over Bloodletting too much. We got to talk at least about one thing that you remember from that
real
tour.
Quick, as Anthony would say, real quick. I love it. It's just your phrase.
I say real quick way too much?
Yeah, it's cool.
Hey, dude.
But
totally
like
professional podcaster, bro.
On but like on Bloodletting, on 5, the one that we did, that was the Crown of Souls, right? You guys had out.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool artwork on that one, and a great album too.
Well, yeah, we got introduced to Raymond Swanland, which is a phenomenal artist. But right. He was living in San Luis Obispo, and we met him through a mutual friend, Steve Miller, our photographer friend. And at the time, Raymond was working in San Luis Obispo. He was part of the Abe's Oddworld project, and he was the graphic designer for all the landscapes and backgrounds I believe so. Is that correct, Jacoby?
Something like that. I think he was like the art director over there.
Art director. For,
he was one of the higher ups, anyways.
Yeah, for the video game Abe's Oddworld, and we saw his art, and we're just like, we knew that we were looking for a change because, we didn't want to saturate ourselves too much, but we're always, with the artists and that we love John Zig, but we've already done a few albums with him, and we wanted to just explore some different options. And we saw his art, and we just like, oh yeah. So Jacoby and me and Erik kind of explained the concept of it, and I'll go ahead and let Jacoby talk about this subject.
Oh, it was amazing. We went over to his house and we were just looking at all of his other art pieces. Just like, I was shocked how good he was. And I was like, dude, we're never going to be able to afford this guy. There's no way.
Yeah, he was doing stuff for fantasy books, like Forgotten Realms and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So, like,
in our first conversation, he was telling us that he charges three grand to cover for the stuff. And I was like, oh my God, we can't afford that. He's like, well, since you guys are friends with Steve and, we got a connection there, he's like, I'll give you a deal. And I'm like, okay, great, let's do it. And he started comping out for what, we had some ideas in our head about what, it wasn't even called Crown of Souls. I don't even remember what the name of the album was, but it was something about kingdom. And it was a totally different name. And we were trying to explain to him, there's this guy and he's collecting people's souls, he's like a serial killer and he's collecting people's souls and all this stuff. And so he started the art piece. And when he sent us the first comps, he called it Crown of Souls. And I was like, dude, we got to steal that. That's like the name of the album right there. Yeah. Crown of Souls. So I will attribute the name Crown of Souls to Raymond Swanland because he came up with it, and that guy's just got an amazing mind. Amazing talent, and he does everything in Photoshop with a tablet, and it's just crazy. And,
super talented.
Yeah, super talented guy, super cool guy too. We had on this album we were lucky enough to have a cool Zoom meeting with him and pick his brain and stuff. And he's got that brain for art, and I'll never understand how someone can just take nothing and create something like that out of nothing. It's amazing to me that people can do that stuff. And so I'm just cool.
Yeah, dude, that new artwork.
All respect.
So he did the new artwork, obviously.
He did.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Yeah.
And we worked on that. We went through many comps and we built the whole idea. Me and Mike basically built the whole idea behind that concept out of kind of nothing. We could talk about this later and stuff, but he shaped it and helped just bring it to life. And it's pretty epic, dude.
Yeah, it's killer.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Crown of Souls, and we did that album, we did the video, it was cool, we did the touring, and then right after that tour, after that last show at the Pound, that's kind of when I had learned that my wife was pregnant, and I knew I was going to be a father. And once that happened, something in me kind of just clicked that, okay, I'm going to have to look out for another human being, and I'm broke. So what am I going to do? And that's kind of when I had to decide to retire, just basically because I was graduating from college, didn't have any money. The labels, death metal labels don't make money. If anybody out there thinks they do, they're mistaken. So I knew I had to provide for my family. And so that's why I had to take a step backward and just go do that. And that's what I did for the last 13 years anyways. But that's kind of when my time ended. And then we were working on stuff of what's to come in the jam room. I actually remember some of those riffs that we were working on. I have recordings actually from some of the stuff we were doing.
Yeah, I do too on my old laptop.
Yeah. And so
all the pre-production stuff. Yep.
Yep. So then when I left the band, those guys just kept soldiering on and put out that album, and dude, things just started getting haywire from there. So I'll let you take over, Mike.
I'll just say first that came out when I was like maybe 18, and that was the first Deeds album that like introduced me to the band. So I'm from that next generation of fans where that was the new shit. And it was obviously a style change that really resonated with me too. And I was into the more like sci-fi style for a long time. And then Deeds ended up being a pathway for me back to old school death metal. So it was a bridge for me. And it was at the same time I was like taking drum lessons from KC. So my world was blowing up. But yeah, Mike just fucking, I was just like, I gotta play like that. Like
Are you referring to Of What's to Come or Crown of Souls?
Of What's to Come.
Oh yeah, that was that album was a bitch to record. It was crazy. Where at that time you have bands like Psychroptic and Spawn of Possession. They're like really at the forefront, you know, super technical, super fast. And we're like, you know, this is kind of like the next generation of tech death. So we wanted to be at that same level. So we just pushed ourselves. Like me and Erik, again, we just got in the rehearsal rooms and just jammed, you know, 6 days a week. And we actually, you know, got a laptop with some Pro Tools so we could actually start, you know, recording some of the parts so we could build the songs. And it's just me and him for the longest time. And then we had a local guitar player, Sean Southern, that we're like, we need to, you know, get another outside idea to, you know, for guitars and stuff. We introduced him to the band, and he was actually on the last tour of with Deeds for Crown of Souls. So he joined at Crown of Souls, and then he helped write of What's to Come. So he
was on Bloodletting, right?
He was on the
Sean?
Euro tour and the US tour.
Yeah.
He was on both.
I remember Sean.
Yeah. So when he came into the fold, like he brought kind of his element. You know, he started doing a lot more atmospheric stuff, and so he contributed quite a bit to that record. But we did the drums up at Colin's place. Colin from Vile, we recorded the drums there, and then we just tracked all the guitars ourselves, and we were able to just kind of sit back. We didn't really have the pressure of trying to put a record out. We just wanted to create the most technical record we could put out. And you know, that was, for me, like definitely one of the hardest recordings because this shit's so fast, you know.
Tell them about the tempo bump, Mike.
Oh yeah, so we're in Erik, this is how Erik works. It's like, so we're tracking, you know, pre-production and tracking all the stuff and, you know, getting everything down, getting ready to go record. And it's like, as we're going through the songs, Erik's like, all right, cool. It's like, well, do you think you can maybe play these a little bit faster in the studio, give them a little more, you know, tempo bump? And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to go too fast, because at the time we're like, you know, we're pushing 220, 230, 240. And I just want to be realistic with my, you know, abilities. And I was like, yeah, I could probably, you know, just a little bit faster, like, you know, maybe like 5 BPMs faster, 2 BPMs to 5 BPMs faster. So he's like, all right. So then unbeknownst to me, he goes in and he fucking bumps up all the fucking tempos on all the songs. And so I'm in the live room and then like, okay, we just got warmed up, click off the songs, start going through it. The first riff's good, second riff's good. And then started getting to these other faster parts. I'm just like, holy shit, what the fuck? Why do I feel like I'm playing slow right now? It's like, I thought I was like, I don't know if I was coming down with something, or I was just like, maybe had, you know, the studio nerves. I was just like the anxiety. I was like, okay, I got to just step out of the room, just calm down. And in the meantime, I can hear Colin and Erik just arguing over the loudspeaker. And, you know, I'm just like, because Colin has one way of working and Erik has a way of working, and they just weren't seeing eye to eye. And then meanwhile, I'm in here like full anxiety attack, thinking like, fucking drums and they're so fucking fast. But we got through the recording. I'm super proud of that record because it's like, it was a lot of work to get it recorded. It's the first time that I'll be brutally honest, like most times I would like track as much of the song as I could. It's the studio, you know, you're not going to go in there and do one takes. I've never been that kind of drummer. I just like to get the best performance I can. But this one, we actually pretty much like built the songs in the studio. You know, we do like 30-second chunks, minute chunk, and just like kind of put it together. And at that time, we were just like, we didn't have a full band, so we didn't really know if we were going to tour on the material or not. But you know, it was a fun record to write. It was crazy to record it, but in the end, like listening to it, it definitely like bumped us up as far as pushing us to the next level as far as pushing our personal capabilities and our playing. And so, I'm super proud of it, but it's pretty techy for Deeds, and it was definitely the evolution of the next step, which was Portals. So
yeah, that's awesome too. That's super fun to know. Someone asked did Erik write and record the leads on that album, or was that Sean?
That was mostly Sean. I mean, Erik was always the idea guy behind the music, and you know, I just remember he did most of the tracking for the rhythms, but when it came to do the leads, like he worked hand in hand with Sean. They just kind of, you know, didn't really have a lot of ideas structured for the songs, but they kind of just jammed with it and played along with it and just kind of built it. You know, it's like as they got, you know, started with one song and just kind of built that song until the next song, and just whatever the best ideas that were coming out for that day, just they kept those ideas for the recording. So
that's rad.
Yeah.
Jacoby, did you contribute at all lyrically or anything to these albums? Nothing?
No, I didn't. And you know, I didn't know about a lot what was going on, just because I was in my own world doing my own thing. And at some point when I learned, you know, that Erik had taken this full on 180 and gone like sci-fi, I was like, what the hell? And you know, I didn't even know much about it, frankly, just because I was out of it. And I guess, you know, since I wasn't part of it, I kind of felt kind of separated from it at some point. So I didn't really pay a lot of attention to what was going on. But later when I had to come back in and learn about it and learn, okay, the story behind it and everything, I was like, whoa, man, he really took a big turn there, you know, lyrically.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at first, I think I thought it was a little weird. I was like, what? I don't get it, you know? And the more I delve into what he was trying to do, it kind of just started hitting, okay, I get it. Okay, he's trying to be a little more futuristic, as to where everything before that was more non-fictional and in the past. So he was trying to create something instead of telling a story, you know, from something that had already happened, because most of the writing we did was from just the dark side of humanity, you know, and so his new vision was more of a futuristic, what could happen kind of deal. And me and Mike had to dive deep into that for the new album, and because you could tell from Of What's to Come and Portals, it's a story that starts in Of What's to Come and moves into Portals. So it had to be, this latest album had to be an ending to that story, we felt, because, you know, it just
cool.
It needs an ending. So yeah, I had to dive into that pretty hardcore, and it was.
Are you talking about research wise, or just like
no, just trying to figure out what Eric's mind was doing. You know, it was a trip, and I kept going back to Mike, going, "What the hell is he thinking?"
No, it was the whole story arc of What's to Come was basically, you know, just Erik was into sci-fi big time. He played a lot of video games, and he's a pretty creative guy. So he created a story arc where it was just, you know, basically like aliens coming here from outer space and just getting this epic battle with humans on the Earth to take over the planet. And then he created a lot of, you know, his own kind of story, with the Vervum being the energy that is, you know, stored within man. Alien comes here to try to harvest that so that, you know, they can sustain their you know, their being and everything. And so, and
similar to the Anunnakis.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it's kind of history based. Yeah, he probably took a lot of history and based it on history, and then gave it a sci-fi twist and just created his own story, which is cool. And then What's to Come is kind of like foretelling that happening, and then the battles on Earth. And then Portals is kind of like the battle continues. You know, the aliens are gaining, you know, power over the Earth, and then, you know, the humans are losing the battle, but they're trying to find a way to escape the planet and to sustain, you know, human life. And so that's kind of signifies the word portals to Canaan, like Canaan being like this heavenly place for, you know, for humans to go and, you know, kind of escape the battle. And then so we just felt natural to like kind of create a story that kind of finishes that up, but also kind of first song, like Alien Scourge, kind of tells that story of What's to Come in Portals, just to kind of, if you've never heard Deeds, you never listened to, you know, Of What's to Come or Portals, kind of gives you an idea of what those two albums kind of represented, gives you a little bit of the story from that, and then continues on. So it was fun working with Jacoby, but trying to decipher, you know, Erik's vision, it's always tough, you know. But
I mean, it's like an author trying to write another author's finish their trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah.
It doesn't always go well, but at least it was you guys who were doing it, and not just some, you know, I mean, I love Craig, I love Ivan, but imagine those two dudes coming together and trying to finish lyrically. Maybe they could do it, but it's like you guys.
Well, Ivan's a good singer. He's a death metal singer, and so is Craig, you know. But
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, you have had the longest relationship with Erik, you know. Of course. You could more easily feel what would be right and what would be wrong, you know. And I just called Craig and Ivan out just because.
No, it's all good. No, I love those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny about me and Ivan is that I've been in more projects with him than any other musician that I've played with. He's been awesome. That's right. He's been in Odious he was a live Odious member for a while. He recorded on a Carnivorous release.
Yeah.
And did a track on the Continuum, the first Continuum, and then now here we are.
Cool.
With the new Deeds record. So it's like, dude.
It's good. He's a good player. He's a good guy, man, and super solid. Yeah. I just remember that tour with Exhumed and Archaic. It was just awesome because and it's just bonded with him and Craig. And
Oh, yeah, dude.
I had this epiphany. I was just like, I knew me and Erik, we didn't really have anybody, just me and him and Deeds. And I was watching him play, I was just like, fucking, there it is right there. It just hit me. Like, I could ask these guys if they want to help us write the next record. And I hit up Erik, like, yeah, Craig, this guy is like a phenomenal guitar player. And Ivan is this fucking ripper bass player. And I think they'd be a good addition. I think he just, unbeknownst to me, probably reached out to them and said, hey, would you be interested in, help with, portals and shit. So I was like, all right. So it worked out. Dude. Worked great, man.
That was, because we also Severed had taken Archaic out with us on the Servile tour, and Odious, you'll remember this, Casey. We played LA Metal Fest. I forget what year. It was after Bloodletting and all that stuff, I think. Mm-hmm. And
was that
Faceless, the Faceless was on the bill?
Galaxy?
And
is that the one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Either way, we were down. We went down for Ash had booked us on LA Metal Fest, and we were leaving, or we went out to go smoke or something like that. And these young dudes were handing out their demos from their trunk, and it was Jared and Chance, I think.
Yeah.
And young dudes, and they had their first demo, and I still have the demo.
Nice.
Jared's actually drumming on it too. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, Jared's a good drummer, man.
Yeah. And but I, to be honest, I didn't really pay attention to Archaic for a little bit. I may have come across their songs every now and then, but I never really paid attention. And then Archaic was on that bill, and then we get to the first show, dude, and Archaic plays, and I was just like, holy shit. These guys, they were fresh off the Cannibal tour, and they were just like in the fucking pocket, dude. Like, I didn't feel like they had any flubs, any kind of. They were just like a machine, and I was like, dude, this is what Ivan's been doing since I've talked,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just obviously representing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love those guys. They're great.
Yeah.
Exhumed did a tour with them. It turned out killer.
Yeah, good. I know. So that's nice. That's what it is. You go out touring with those guys, and you realize, like, oh, this is just just a little bit younger than me. I mean, much more younger than you. Not much more younger than you guys, but more younger than you guys. And,
just the next generation, just keeping the torch.
Yeah, and you see the same kind of drive, and you're like, oh yeah, dude, that's I had that same gleam in my eye when I was that young.
Totally,
dude, going 24 hours. Printing out CDs so we could get them out on the Cannibal tour with Severed, those carnivorous demos that we did, dude. It's just like, we got to get those out before the internet was so easy to just put shit out.
Well, back when you had to be a working band, you couldn't, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, we did, but it wasn't like it is now. Like Jacoby can attest to this, like packaging tapes and writing letters and, to people and just doing tape trading. And, we're all part of that generation. So it's like the work ethic came from that. Because if you didn't work hard, your band didn't get shows. You didn't sell, you didn't get your name out there. So you had to self-promote, and work really hard to do it, maybe take ads out in magazines and stuff like that. But it wasn't like today where you have, the social media machine behind you. So
yeah,
it's definitely, different generation of how you promote yourself. So
I got a question as a fan myself about like an old Deeds song. Like back in the day, we used to like love that song Acid Troops. You guys ever play that live? Or that song is so great.
I'm sure we played it live a bunch of times early on. That song was actually a Charlie Christ song. So that song came from Erik's first band. All those lyrics were another song called Acid Troops in Charlie Christ, and it was a very different sound. And I actually really liked the song when it was in Charlie Christ. And when we did it in Deeds, I almost didn't like it. I was like, it just doesn't have that same hook to it that that the Charlie Christ version did. And I think that was one of my least favorite songs because I knew that's how that song should have been. It was as the troops on acid move on, the enemy will soon be gone. And it was cool, and then now we're going, as the troops on acid kill another human being. I didn't like it. So I mean, that's one of those deals. Like, if you were going to ask me what my least favorite Deed song was, it's probably Acid Trip.
Shit, dude, that's so funny, dude.
That's
We're
so
like,
funny,
you know, and that's a conversation that me and Casey have had. Like, if we're gonna cover a Deed song, what would it be? And he's like, Acid Troops. I'm like, dude, that one's.
Well, I mean, like, but the riffs are so sick. It's fucking.
Yeah. The riffs are great. I wish we had written
put it off for you.
Different lyrics.
I just hope it's like, you know, jungle. We used to just like trip out. We were just like, yeah, this song is great.
Jacoby, we were talking about, you're talking about early bands, THC. Give me a little rundown about THC.
THC stands for Terminal Human Combustion. And before that, we were called Betrayer because we were really into Creator. But, you know, that was too much of a copycat, we thought, if, you know, being Betrayer and stuff. But that band, I don't know. We played a bunch of shows. We were kids. We had a fun time doing it. We weren't that great, but
I got a tape.
I got a tape. We did a demo in the same studio that we did the Gradually Melted demo in Ed Sandor's place. So that's why we were pretty familiar with it. Actually, Charlie Christ recorded there too. That was the place to go because Ed was this old rocker dude. You know, he was from the glam rock era, you know, so he was always in there with his long hair, you know, doing the whole rocker thing. And so there's more to that story, but I won't go there. Let's just say I don't think that dude slept much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we were a young band. We had a lot of fun. It was definitely a stepping stool to get to where we were with Deeds, because without that band, we never would have played with Erik and hung out. And we ended up jamming right next door to Erik and them guys in Charlie Christ. And I think that's where we got to know each other pretty well. And, you know, Erik would be there probably hearing Joey doing double bass and blast beats and stuff. And it's probably where he got it in his head, dude, I want to do that. we gotta get together and jam. So yeah.
Sweet.
It's rad.
So where do we go from here? We're at the new album. Okay. So this is when, so you now have,
all right, the meeting's over. No.
So you said you started the family, and that was how many years?
13 years I was retired.
13 years you're away. So crazy.
You know, I got a phone call. I got a phone call from Mike, and he said, I don't think Erik's doing very well. He's in the hospital. And I was like, oh crap, man, what's going on? And you know, I kind of had it in my head, maybe we should fly out and just see him in the hospital. I hadn't talked to Erik in a lot of years. We had a bit of a falling out because of the label. You know, there was just money issues and stuff. And I felt bad. And I was like, dude, I kind of left with Erik on a sore note. So I had it in my mind to go see him. And, you know, he was in the hospital for a few days. I really didn't know how serious it was. He was in the ICU, so I knew it was kind of serious, but then he got out of the hospital and he's like, okay, he's going home. So in the back of my mind, like, okay, he's good. Now, you know, I don't need to fly out there. He's okay. Yeah. And 2 months after that, Maddie calls me up. He's crying. He's like, dude, Erik just passed away. I was like, what? And it was a total shock to my system. And those 2 months between, you know, when I heard he was in the hospital to when he died, he was just withering away, and nobody knew it because Erik is, you know, he's a private guy. He's a hermit, and he's not going to tell anybody when he's hurting. So it was a crappy thing. Yeah. To find out, you know, basically. And I knew at the very least, Mike and I were going out for the funeral. So that's kind of, you know.
Yeah. Well, I had got a call from Maddie, and Maddie was like, yeah, Erik's kind of sick. He's not doing so well. And like Jacoby said, Erik was a kind of a recluse guy. He didn't really, you know, divulge too much information. He would kind of guy that really would never ask for help, you know. So we didn't know at all, and until it was too late, you know. And we got the call. And it's like, and Maddie told me like he's not doing good, and like Jacoby said, like a week later, he's like, yeah, they you know, he's in hospice, and they had the priest come in and read last rites, and I was just like, didn't even know how to digest that. I was just like shocked. And then I called Jacoby right after, like, hey, dude, we got to get out there. And so it's a bummer, man. You know, it's a testament to like listen to your body. You know, when things start happening to your body that you don't feel normal, like go get it checked out, because Erik, you know, he didn't really, I don't think he understood what was going on with his body. And, you know, men are kind of always tough, like, oh, I can tough it out, I don't need to go get checked out, you know. And I think that mentality kind of just was his ultimate like demise, because, you know, it was a lot more serious than, you know, he thought. So I mean, it's unfortunate, you know, that he passed, and especially the way he did, because he was such a strong guy, and, you know, mentally strong, physically strong. And then just to, you know, to have something like that to take him down is pretty brutal. And, you know, so yeah, rest in peace, Erik. It's
rest in peace,
you know, but
Yeah,
and that's, so it was very important for me and Jacoby to step in, and like, you know, this body of work has to see the light of day, you know.
yeah.
Can't just be put on a shelf and never see his last body of work, never see, you know, the light of day. And also, you know,
how long had he been working on it before he had realized he was sick?
Well, I don't know, to be honest, because
oh yeah, he didn't really,
well, the thing is that he had moved to Florida. He was living out in Florida now, and
Wow.
yeah, he moved out there for personal reasons. Moved out there, and, you know, we would talk on the phone. He called me up and said, hey, I'm demoing, you know, the new record with Craig, and I'm going to send you some tracks. I'm like, okay, cool. And so learning I learned about the first 3 songs. And then at that point I had a family emergency and I had to step down. I was like, I'm in no position to really like record, because I had my brother had passed, you know, and it was a shock to my family. So I was like, at that time, I was just like, I'm not going to be able to be on this record. But after all this thing, you know, happened with Erik, and me and Jacoby were, you know, talking at his funeral, like we knew we had to come back into the fold and get it done. So we made that commitment to Erik, and to, you know, to the Deeds fans, and to you know, Maddie, and also to Jamie, that we would do everything we can in our power to contribute to this and get it done, so that Erik's final body of work would be able to be enjoyed by, you know, the fans that loved his music so much. Totally. So yeah.
When did the idea of bringing in all the guest vocals, all
the
different guys?
Me and Jacoby kind of threw the idea around. We're like, you know, how cool would this be to, you know, not only like, I mean, we knew Jacoby was going to come back in the fold because it just was natural. He's the second main vocalist of the band, so he had to sing on it. But it was like, we threw the idea around, like, you know, we could make this a tribute album, and everybody that, you know, Erik like looked up to or had a special friendship with could participate in the album. That would be kind of a cool idea. So we threw that concept around, and it's like, well, fuck, I know half the people, and we can get in touch with them. And so we just started reaching out to people, and it just started, you know, people started saying, yeah, I'm on board, just let me know. I was like, all right, killer. So that's, Jacoby kind of took that project, and he was the one that got the music to everybody. And, you know, just like, we felt it was important to invite vocalists from like the early 2000 era unique leader to be on it, that helped build the label and help like push the genre. So like, that's where you came in, Dusty came in, Robbie K from Disavowed came in. So, you know, we had John Zig has always been there in the fold, helping the band, you know, he's
all the album covers.
Yeah, he did he did so many, all the album covers for us. So he came in. Obi Flett, love that guy. You know, he's instrumental to, you know, Inherit Disease being on the label, and he had a really good relationship with Erik. And so, you know, all these people that were really important to the band, and Bill, yeah, everybody that we had on the record just was important to us, you know, and they're good close friends. And so we felt, you know, and yourself, you know, it's like we're all in this together, and, you know, we felt natural.
I said it so many times, dude, but it's just it's still like, I mean, it's done and recorded, and it's coming out and stuff, but it's just like, dude,
it's awesome.
At least once a day, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be on a fucking Deeds record.
Yeah, I can't believe we pulled it off. It just went from went from an idea to like, okay, these guys are all in. You know, we got Luke LeMay, like that was fucking awesome, and George Corpse Grinder, just, you know, he did a track, and, you know, we got all these heavyweight guys, so cool. And just these are guys that.
Can't wait to hear it.
That's going to be sick.
It's amazing.
It's going to be so fucking sick.
When is it coming out again?
December 11th is the actual date. There's going to be some singles that come out ahead of time, so you'll get to hear some heavyweights before the release comes out. And it's I mean, I was kind of surprised by how well I was able to do just being out of it for 13 years. I was like, I got foot and mouth disease. So I'm sitting there, me and Mike are sitting there at Erik's wake, and and basically we're promising his wife that we're going to do this. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, can I even sing anymore? And I just, you know, it was a trip. And I was like, dude, I've been out of the loop so long. And I'm listening to Erik's last 2 records going, dude, I don't sing like that. It's not going to be like that. So I was like worried that I was just not going to do it justice. But,
oh, dude, when you sent me that track, I was like, wow, dude. For how long he hasn't been in it, dude, he sounds fucking great.
I'm gonna step out and take a break. I'll be right back.
Go for it, dude.
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah, when Obi came up and recorded where I was recording at Chad Land's place, and he was listening to another track that we were mixing, and he looked over at me and he goes, dude, you still got it, bro.
Yeah.
And I just, that was a cool moment. So,
yeah, dude, that I'm sure that fucking makes you feel great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you know, and the funny thing is my wife was like, dude, you're gonna have all these amazing vocalists on this album. Are you sure you can, like, you know, measure up, you know? And I'm like, I don't know, but I hope so, you know. And it's, dude, it's sick. The way my voice is blending with all these guys, dude, it sounds killer. I mean, the song with me and Luke LeMay, you're gonna freaking geek out about. I mean, that's the one. Dude. That's the one that Erik's just looking down, going, yep. That's remember when we were sitting there listening to Considered Dead, you know, dude, it's Considered Dead, Luke LeMay. It's like insane, dude. It's like, that's my favorite part, I think, of this album is him being on it. And then he was so cool with the back and forth, and we gave him some patterns. We said, okay, here's your patterns. And he goes, okay. And he took our patterns and like Luke amized them.
Luke LeMayed them.
Luke LeMayed them, dude. And dude, they're so cool, and it's so signature him. And dude, I'm getting to do dual vocals with Luke LeMay, with George Corpse Grinder, with you know, John Gallagher. I mean, dude, it's sick, dude.
It's fucking
more
than sick, dude.
It's the most ambitious crossover event in metal history, dude.
Dude, it's
I mean, we didn't know it. We started, like, once we started getting the tracks back and listening to them, we're like, yeah, this is going to be fucking big. It's going to be awesome. It's, you know, it's cool because those are the vocalists that, like I say, Erik looked up to. He was a huge Luke. I mean, loves Gorguts, love Luke.
Sure.
Like, yeah. And Corpse Grinder, we did a tour with, you know, Cannibal back in the day, and had a good, you know, relationship with them, and I've known him forever. And so it just made sense just to bring people in, and tried to get Erik Ruchan in there, but, you know, he's a busy guy, you know, but that would have been cool because, you know, Deeds did a tour with Hate Eternal, a couple of them. So, but yeah, it's just, I'm just super excited. I can't wait for people to hear this record. And I think people would be stoked on it for sure.
Me too. It brought me back to like Gradually Melted Trading Pieces days when you're just a little bit giddy about every song, and you're like, man, this is turning out killer, you know. And Mike wrote, like, I'd say 75% of the lyrics on this album came from Mike's brain. I mean, I did a lot of tweaking and some rewrites and some of my own stuff, but he wrote a lot of this record. And then he helped me demo a lot of the record too. We were going back and forth on vocal patterns like the whole time. Like, he would record it his way, I would record it my way, and we would interchange parts, and I like this part this way and this part this way. And so, I mean, it was a full team effort with me and Mike to get this album done. And I think that's why we're both so, like, happy about it. Cause it just, it feels like old school meets new school. Cause a lot of the music is new. The vocal patterns go a little bit back to the old stuff, and it kind of meshes together like a whole new hybrid Deeds, but it's Deeds. It's like when you hear it, you'll know, oh dude, that's a Deeds album. Yeah. So it's pretty sick, dude. I'm pretty happy.
And Jacoby killed it on
sound rad, dude.
Yeah, Jacoby killed it on vocals.
It's like really refreshing to hear that,
it's a
dude.
very strong single. Alien, what is it called? Alien what?
Alien Scourge.
Dude, that's a strong.
And that lyric video is dope too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, really we were pretty stoked about that. I mean, I was a little bit apprehensive because the lyrics don't quite go with the artwork, but dude, it looks sick as hell. It's really cool. Yeah,
we're happy with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet, dude. So, I mean, what have we untouched anything yet? We've touched on anything. Is there anything, Joseph?
I had a question again about, like, you kind of asked about, like, what's like the most difficult song, like, you guys had to play, like, besides the ones that you didn't play live, like, what's the one that, like, when it came in the set, you guys were just like, All right, dude. Here we go. You know, is there any? Are they all?
I mean, they're all pretty techie. Like, you know, for the
Yeah.
time period, they're pretty involved. I would say the stuff off Inbreeding for me is probably the most challenging. But I mean, because the way Brad, his style of drumming was so all
Different.
over the map.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, I didn't play exactly the way he played. I kind of gave it a little more feel, but I still like played it, you know, pretty close to the way that, you know.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, but I'd say the inbreeding stuff, just because it is so busy and just it's just relentless. It just never stops. You know what I mean? It's like constant math and constant tempo. But yeah,
it's like tech in a different way. You know?
Infecting
really
them with
good.
falsehood. I like playing that one. That one's killer.
That's a fun song to play, but that was a hard one to play. So
that was a hard, infecting them with falsehood for sure.
It was like you're excited about it, but at the same time you're like, oh, dude, okay, we got to nail this. It's a hard song to get right, you know, especially guitar and drums. It was a hard song to play for sure.
Yeah, I wish we would have played Ritual of Battle. I don't know if we ever played that one on tour. I don't
remember.
I like that song as well, Ritual of Battle.
Me too.
Is that from Inbreeding?
Yeah, Inbreeding. Yeah. Yeah, because when I'm playing stuff that I've written, it's like, okay, yeah, I wrote these parts, I know these parts. But when it comes to learning the other material, like, you know, especially the stuff that Brad did, those are probably the more challenging songs. And well, the stuff on Path too, the Joey, because Joey's relentless as well, and he puts in the killer accents and just spots you wouldn't even think about. So
weird timing changes too.
Yeah, for sure.
Snare first.
Yeah, he did a lot of.
That's the snare that. Yeah, I remember that whole thing. Yeah,
it's basically the beat that Carnivorous Ways comes in on. It's pew 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 pew. It's like backwards.
It's a backwards grind. It's a backward grind. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so back.
Yeah.
It's a left-handed. Well, this is. I don't think this is a fact that nobody really knows about, but Erik, Joey, and Jacoby were all born in the same week, so they got 3 Geminis writing fucking crazy ass music.
Crazy.
So that's why the music was so wild, because you know,
split personalities.
They got 3 that's the riddle right there.
Which one that is?
I remember cruising out to meet you guys to pick up merch with like Bill or Matt or whatever, and we would come out to, you know, like that exit off of the 101 or whatever. We cruise out. We met you a bunch of times at that rehearsal studio, you know. But I remember one time I was like on a solo mish, and I was like coming up from San Diego, and I was like driving up, and then I was going back up to the Bay, and then like I had to go by Eric's house, and like went all the way out there and like met
Los Osos Valley Road.
Yeah, like that in his driveway. Then he like gave me this like merch for Decrepit or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was funny. But yeah, it's interesting. I remember those days, man.
And
You missed those times. That was good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, dude, it's Cali death for life, dude.
That's right.
This is all about, dude.
That's right.
And like I said, it's great to kick it off with you guys, dude, as the forefront. I mean,
to me, you guys were like the
you were the front line to push Cali
up
to the top, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Scourge was right behind you guys. We're gonna talk
for sure.
We're gonna talk to Diego next week.
Hell yeah.
Get the Discord story, and dude, we're just gonna get as many of the homies together as we can, get everybody's story, and then if it keeps going, we'll
you guys are always welcome back, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like once the album's out and we can actually talk more about it, then
I'm super down for that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, because there's a lot of stuff we can't really divulge right now because
totally
right. Yeah.
But once it's out and we can talk about everything, then we'll be glad to come back and chat you up. Maybe we can get
awesome.
Get Ivan and Craig involved as well. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because they're definitely talked about Ivan, because I want Ivan's story going all the way back to, I think he was in a couple of bands before he started jamming with Carnivorous, so you can talk about those with him.
Well, no, their presence on this new record is they did,
it's huge.
It's amazing the work that they did, and writing in the same vein that Erik wrote in on Portals with Craig, and like I said, it's like Jacoby said also, this is definitely, you listen to it, you hear the old deeds and you hear new deeds. It's cool. So
they actually did a lot of research going back to the old Deeds albums to make sure that the writing style was in the same vein, so kudos to them dudes, man. They're rippers. We're super stoked to have them. And I mean, just with the 4 of us hanging out, it feels like family, so it's like I think that's what makes it fun again. It's like when you get along with the guys in your band that well, it's easy.
Yeah,
totally.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm taking it back to the tour thing real quick. You get to know people on a month is a very, very good amount of time to really get to know somebody. If you guys are out on the road, fucking off a gas station, food and shit, and in public toilets, you know, it's just like,
once you shut those door vans, and you know the doors to the van, you got 7 hours to the next city. A lot can happen.
Right.
Dude. And you know, it's weird as you get accustomed to it, because there was one show on that bloodletting. I don't know if you guys remember. I wasn't there. I flew back
Colorado.
I had committed to being in my uncle's wedding, so I missed one show. Odious did an instrumental set, and those 3 days that I came back home, I fucking felt weird, dude. I'm turning back onto the road to get to my house. I was like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here. And then I flew back up to Vancouver to meet up with you guys, and as soon as I got into the stinky old fucking van with all these unwashed men, I'm like, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt good. I had a sigh of relief after I breathed in farts and
well, you know, touring's not for everybody. You either got it in you or you don't. And, you know, I'm a lifer. You know, I've been doing it since I was probably like 23 or so. So yeah, it's, you know, especially during COVID right now, man, it's like everybody has that lifestyle, it's like just itching, you know, to get out there. So it's kind of crazy. So we got to do something to get this shit back going again.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like Dan, you know, was able to do that tour with Suicide Silence, the streaming tour. That, I mean, that's an idea that, you know, if people have the resources, because they had a stage that they could play on every night, you know. And they really did it right. They played it live every night. They didn't record something and then, you know, call it your live stream or whatever. So, but I mean, for smaller bands, it's like, it's just
you got to kind of reinvent, you know, because it's tough. You know, a lot of bands rely on that touring to pay bills, and not every band, you know, has the luxury of doing a live stream thing like that. So it's kind of, you got to invent new ways for, you know, to keep the band alive. I know a lot of venues are closing. A lot of bands are, not a lot of bands, but I'm sure there's bands that are quitting because they just can't afford, you know, to not, that's their lifestyle. But yeah, hopefully it'll all get back to normal and be able to get out there and, you know.
Yeah. Until then, I hope everybody's taking the extra time to get more creative and make more music. And maybe 2021 is just going to be a shit ton of fucking musicians that have, you know, got albums ready.
Yeah. Well, with that said, if it wasn't for COVID, it's kind of a double-edged sword for Deeds, really, because if it wasn't for COVID, like, we wouldn't have the time to sit down and work on this record. So, I mean, you know, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like, the rest of the world is suffering, but here we are, you know, and now we're forced to, like, okay, let's get this done like we promised, because before we just so busy we didn't have time. Like, we sat on it for like a year. Every now and then me and Jacoby are like, all right, are we working on it yet? Yeah, we probably should. You know, we probably should find out. And then we just decided, like, okay, this is the time. We have the time now. Let's do it. You know, so it was a blessing for sure. And you know,
so 2020 is a big old fat turd with a little pink pink sprinkle on top.
A little whipped cream, maybe.
Do you guys want to give like a shout out to anyone, anything, just before the episode ends?
Yeah, me personally, I'd like to thank all the, you know, the dedicated Deeds fans that have been there for us throughout the years and, you know, supported us, and you know, just thank you for being fucking the best fans in the world, you know, just supporting extreme metal, and also the outpour of you know, love that we got when Erik passed had meant a lot. So it was huge. So we appreciate everybody that took the time to reach out to us and console us during that time. So it's awesome.
Sure. Cool. I personally would like to thank all the guys that helped us to, like, finish off this record. I mean, that was for them to come out and you know, do the album, you know, pretty much do everything we asked them to do was pretty awesome. And it's you know, a testament to the brotherhood of death metal, I guess.
Totally.
So they came out for the Fallen Warrior, you know, and it was pretty cool. So everybody kind of chipped in, helped finish it off, and it was a cool deal. So
yeah, that's the attitude I had, dude. I mean, that's exactly how I felt. Oh,
The
go
day
ahead,
it comes
dude.
out, I'm gonna smoke a fat bowl and listen to that, and just it'll be fun, dude. And
It's gonna be a ride, dude. It's gonna be a roller coaster ride for sure.
Yeah.
Through
That song is
space.
so good.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love it.
yeah, well, thanks so much, dudes. That was super fun, super
Yeah,
awesome getting to meet
absolutely.
you
dude.
guys, getting to hang out with you, getting to hear stories, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
thanks
Yeah, we
for being our
appreciate
first
it.
guest.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. Keep it going. It's no guys like you that just keep the scene alive and constantly pushing it. And you know,
Yeah,
love all you guys. And
I'm
Yeah.
a late
Shine a light.
bloomer.
Love you
Like,
guys, man.
yeah,
Respect.
oh yeah,
Me
for
too.
sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
all
And
right.
all you fans out there, you can go pre-order Nucleus, the full merch bundle. We actually developed a Legion of Deeds bundle. You can go get that
Yeah.
too and support the D.
Yeah.
Any plugs on websites?
We'll
You
throw
guys
it in
got
the
social.
the YouTube.
Okay.
It's
Video
it's all on
description.
deedsofleshmetal.com.
We'll put links in the description.
Yeah,
perfect.
we totally rebuilt the whole website. Everything's on there. There's a social media page with all the stuff on it. There's a
link tree.
a link tree page. You know, everything's there. So we've kind of revamped everything for Deeds, and going forward, we're just gonna try to push as hard as we can.
Fuck yeah.
It's awesome, dude. Respect
Well,
and love for you guys.
Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Thank you
so
guys.
much
Coming
for
on.
agreeing
Appreciate
to do this, dudes. And it was really good seeing you guys. I'm glad I got to see your beautiful faces for a little been years.
Yep, they've changed. gained a couple pounds, got a little gray, but hey,
Yeah, but I can only see your shoulders, so I don't know
Yeah.
about the poundage. It's all good.
yeah. I've been
guys don't
working
even
out.
know.
Yeah.
I don't even have any pants on, so it's chill, dude.
That's cool. We believe you. We trust you. You don't have to stand up.
Hopefully
Well, right
Diego
on, dude.
brings me out on tour and I can fucking
Hell
come
yeah.
play a show with you guys.
Yeah, man. Well,
Yeah,
dude,
dude.
good luck with that material, and push yourself to get it under your belt. And you got some work cut out for you, but I guarantee you, when it's all said and done, you got all those songs down, you're playing it live, and you'll be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Great to
Right
see
on.
you guys.
All right, gentlemen.
All
Well,
right.
thank you
You
so
guys
much
have a
for your
good
time.
night.
Yep. Good luck with
This
your
was-
podcast, and have us on
this
again.
was Cali Death Podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Sick.
Right on.
Respect.
Peace.
See you guys.
All right.